Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. I'm very excited today. We've got the lovely Ranya Ahmed on, who's going to talk to us about human design and in particular the line six, which I'm a line six, I'm a 6-2 generator. So Ranya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you for having me. I'm very, very, very excited.
Thank you. Could you tell us, for those people listening that maybe don't know what human design is, if they haven't heard any of the other episodes I've done, what is human design? How can it be used? And how did you get into this?
Wow, this is a long story. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so in 2020, I stepped into the personal growth journey in seriously. Like I've always been loving reading books, self-help books, but like in 2020, when the world shut down, we had a long time, to figure out what we want to do. And for me, it was personal growth, 100%, the leadership and who I can become, as the best version of myself. And that's when I came across human design for the first time. And I was like mind blown. I didn't have a clue what people were talking about. And that's when I started going down the rabbit hole. So in a like the very, very summary high level, human design is a mix of ancient science and modern science. It has the chakra system, it has the Chinese I Ching, it has the quantum physics. So it has a lot of, astrology. So it's a mix of sciences that gives you, if you will, like a personality trait for you. It's like a roadmap energetically of how you can be your best self, and why maybe you have been experiencing your not self, which in human design we say you're not self theme, right? So being the frustrated, the anger, the bitterness, and how can you really live in alignment with your true self? Because we live in a world where it's really telling you you could be better, you should be buy the bigger house, you should get the nicer car. Like they're really feeding into this of maybe I'm not good enough. And human design bring you back to your truth of no, I'm great actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So human design is a tool to know yourself and to be able to always like continue to evolve and to grow as the best human you could be.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
talk a lot about when you discover what your human design type is, once you really understand it and how you can use it, it is like that light bulb moment, isn't it? It's like, now things make sense. Now that makes sense why that didn't work or why that does work or why
Exactly.
I'm trying this thing, I'm like forcing this thing and it's just not working for me. And it just suddenly everything clicks into place, doesn't it?
100%. And that's really my experience too. Like when I knew I'm a 4/6 manifesting generator. So I like to, thrive. I thrive when I play in different buckets, when I'm working on different projects. And I remembered, a specific conversation with one of my previous managers. And he was like, I don't know how you do this. Because I was like working on so many different things. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, isn't everybody like that? Turned out no.
Yeah.
So, human design really shows you how unique you are. So you can actually value yourself and your gifts. And you can also see people in their own power and what they bring also to the community, to the collective. It really changed the way I look at people. I look at relationships. I started really like, being fascinated as I was. I literally studied my human design like my life depended on it, but I could read any chart that my hand could be on, like my husband, my kids, my sisters, my mom, my dad, my best friends are like, "Hey, you want me to read your chart?" I was like, "What is a chart? Let me explain." So I started really like I was loving it so much because it was that permission slip that I could just be who I truly am. And I grew up well, I'm a line six, right? So the first 30 years you live as a line three of trial and error. And I tried so much to fit in. And I tried so much to really understand who I am, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And at a point, I felt that I lost my true self in the process. Human design reminded me of who I was and how I can really, again, like own my personal power, own my own gifts, and show up in the way that makes me feel good at the end of the day, you know? Um, So back to the story of how I got into human design is after I was very obsessed, obviously, with human design for about a year and a half into my own embodiment journey. I knew at that time that I wanted to start a coaching business, a life coaching business, but I didn't know what niche or what do I want to focus on because again, I'm a many gen, right? Does not work for me. But I just followed my passion of just talking about what I love and I started really talking on Instagram about like, hey guys, you wouldn't believe what I learned about my human design today. And I was just like talking about it until people started messaging me, asking me, Rania, how much would you charge to read my chart? And that was something for me to respond to, right? As a
Yeah.
mini gen. And that's how I really came into like, okay, I know it's a yes for me. I want to do this. So let me put an offer together and start doing charts officially because at that point I have been reading it, for free for a year and a
Yeah.
half. Might as well start a business with it and grow from there and share my passion for human design. So I became a human design embodiment coach in response, which is in alignment with my human design. And the reason why I call myself an embodiment coach is because I knew that if I just do readings, the impact wouldn't be as much as if I walk this journey with you and I show you exactly what it means to embody it in your day-to-day life, in your relationships, in your business. Because like I have a lot of clients who come to me who has already done the readings, a year ago, 2 years ago. They understand their human design, yet they're not seeing the results
Yeah.
because the embodiment isn't there. And that's where my gift is.
I love that. And that's such a huge part, isn't it? Embodiment, we hear that word thrown around, but it's not until you actually start taking the actions and moving in a way that is totally aligned and embodying that next level version of you, the one that is fully aligned to who you are, your soul gifts and everything, that things do start to click into place. And it can be quite quick, can't it, as well, once you start actually leading from what is actually meant for you.
Yes, there are things that you can definitely, like I say, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So, for example, the waiting to respond. And when I explain this to my clients of the concept of pay attention to what's happening outside of you, there's always something for you to respond to and how to listen to their sacral response. Once they see it, they just want to see it once and
Yeah.
then it's done, right? But then there are bigger things that you need to embody depending on the conditioning that you have, meaning like the story you've been telling yourself and how long have you been telling yourself the story and what work needs to be done so we can let go of that and create a new story, right? Whether it's about your worth, I think it's a big one. The feeling of I'm good enough, right?
Yeah. And
There
that's
are other
huge, isn't
areas in
it? Like not feeling good enough is so huge, particularly for women.
Yes, and one of the things that really blew my mind when I was studying human design is understanding that the majority of the population have their heart center open or undefined, and that's the center for self-worth and self-esteem and willpower. Meaning we, the majority, I say we because I'm one of us. I have a totally open heart center, and we don't have a consistent sense of value from within us. We grow up learning about our own self-worth from the environment that we're in and from what people have been telling us. That's the story that we have been carrying on. So it depends on, the environment that somebody has been, brought up in, or, the situations that you're in, the work environment that you're in, how you're treated, and the story that you're telling yourself about your worth. And that's the inner work that needs to happen to come into a place of I'm good enough no matter what's happening outside of me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that inward. So yes, there are things that you can embody from a one session, 100%, but there are lots of things that it's more of, let me realign, let me realign, let me realign. And then it's a process that comes faster and faster. Like I do have this process I call the energetic checkup, and it's really like a full body scan of your chart of where I may be misaligned. So I'm focused on exactly what I need to realign instead of one trigger that triggers everything else.
Yeah.
No, I know where exactly this trigger is coming from. To me, it's usually my open heart center, right? Because it's deep work there. And to me, it's like, I know this is my heart center triggered. And I talk to my heart center. I was like, oh dear, heart center, I feel you, but let's realign. This has nothing to do with you. But it's that trigger that maybe somebody has been carrying on for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? Depending on when they do start their embodiment journey and then the untangling of, you know, of the layers of that story.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about the different lines. I think because there's like human design is so broad, like there's so much to learn from it. But I think if we focus on the lines and then yeah, let's dive into the line 6 at the end, and then we can just go more in depth with that. So could you just give us a summary of what all the different lines actually mean?
Yeah, so the line, so for somebody who's new to human design, when you generate your free chart, which you can do online, there is your type, which is the generator, many-gen, projector, manifestor, reflector. This is really your energy type, your aura, how you are designed to be. And then you have the profile, which is consisting of two numbers, and usually they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then the combination of the two numbers give you your profile, which is how you interact with the world, how people see you, how you see yourself. It has a lot to do with relationships and whether that, intimate relationship or business relationship. So that's really the profile that consists of two numbers, and the numbers are called lines. And we have 6 of them. So if we go really high level quickly on them, level 1 is we call it in human design the investigator. It is somebody who likes to do research, to really get into the nitty gritty of all the details. They love to have a solid foundation of knowledge, let's say, for them to feel secure and to feel their power, that I've got everything. I've got all my ducks in a row. And I must say, the shadow side of it, if you're too much into it, that you're not really doing what you're supposed to do and you're hiding behind your line 1. But your gift is getting into those details and the knowledge and the research and being well equipped and well informed of what you're here to create. In terms of studies, research, articles, whatever. Um, that's just one example. And then line 2, we call in human design the hermit, which is somebody who likes to be maybe on their own sometimes, to contemplate, to really extract deep lessons and contemplations. And they usually have a gift, a natural gift that they're born with. And sometimes they don't know that gift, but the people around them will see it in them. And it's a beautiful line. And I'm going to say this about each line, by the way, because like literally every time I see a chart, I'm like, oh my God, your chart is so good. Or like, I love it. But because everybody is very unique, right? And
Yeah.
when you see these gifts, you start like really falling in love with every chart that you see. Line 3 in human design, it's called trial and error, which sometimes, you're taken aback, but it's really about your life experiences and what you learn through experience. You learn what works and what doesn't work for you. And eventually you can help others as well with that. And you develop a lot of wisdom around, experiences and how to pivot and how to persevere and how to, continue to show up. You have that stamina because you've been through your own journey of figuring things out. And it's also a beautiful gift, to have the courage to try and learn by doing, actually. Line 4, I'm a 4/6, so the first line is 4. Line 4 is all about networks and friendships, and somebody who's can easily connect with people, and they grow their networks, they connect people together, so it has a lot to do with networking. Line 5 is about leadership. Um, and they're here to lead the way. They're here to show us, different unconventional ways of doing things. Um, in human design, it's called the savior because sometimes it's a projection line that people see them like, you're going to save me from what I'm going through. So as a line 5 leader, you just need to be careful of what you're here to create. Is this in alignment with you or not? Setting up your clear boundaries and you know set people up for success and know what to expect, because you're a strong leader and people want to follow you, but you want to make sure that you're able to help them. The line 6, which both of our line 6, so the line 6 again, it's called the role model in human design, and the role model lives their lives in 3 stages. So the first 30 years, it's like a line three, trial and error. You're figuring your life out, you're trying things. Maybe you've tried different careers, you've been into different work environments. You're learning about yourself through your life experiences. And sometimes it's an intense, 30 years of experiences for most people. And then from 30 to 50, we call it in human design, you go up the roof. So if we say the human design is a house, line one is the foundation, line six is sitting up on the roof. And you are having this bird view, if you will, really learning from people now. So you're not so much into the sandbox yourself. You're more up on the roof and looking and extracting wisdom from what's happening around you. I'm in that phase right now. And you start really sharing wisdom because you're not so much into the sandbox. Like I said, you more have that bird view. You're starting to see the wisdom in the experiences that you've gone through, and you're also learning from the people around you. At 50 years old, this is where the role model matures, if you will, or like completes their cycle to be like the wisest they could be. And because again, you have 30 years of your own experience, 20 years of healing yourself. Usually the phase two starts with the healing phase, and also learning from others. So you have a lot of wisdom. You're a natural teacher and you teach from experience. You teach what you preach, and you teach a lot from life experiences. So that's the role model. Now, my personal approach to role model um, was, do I really have to wait to 50 years old? And the answer to me was no. Like, I could be a role model now, and I could step into that identity whenever I want, whenever I'm going through a difficult situation, to say, what would the 50-year-old me do here? Right? Or what would the role model Rania do here? Where is the lesson to be learned in this? Right? And that helps me go through the difficult situation, knowing that it's happening for a reason, that, maybe I'll learn something, maybe I'll bring it back to my clients. Like there's always a lesson to be learned and
Yeah,
wisdom to be extracted.
I love that. That's really interesting you saying, because I've heard you talk about how with the line six, it's that when you get to that 50, but you don't actually have to wait till you get to 50. You can be that role model like now.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
And when I'm 50, maybe I'll have a different experience,
Yeah.
but maybe I'll be wiser. You know what I mean? Like, but I could be wise now. I could embody that now. And like I said, it's always about asking your higher self, like, what would I do here? Right? If I'm the role model, like how can I go through this as the role model? Right? And we can use that. And it's really for everybody, like whatever higher self identity you have in your business. But that's something that I teach from really the embodiment of who I am as a line six, is that when I'm going through a difficult situation with a client, or when somebody wants to cancel, or when somebody is a misaligned client, like these are like difficult conversations that we
Yeah.
need to have. But how am I going to do this as the role model for me, for my business, and for my client, right? So that's just one example, but you can use that also in relationships, right? In miscommunications, in, you know, just put the situation, any situation, but really, how are we, you know, representing ourselves, being a role model?
I love that. I love it. And it's just like there's always more to learn, isn't there? It doesn't matter like how much.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you
And
find
you
that
know
as
what?
well? Like obviously you're like a human design expert. Do you find you're always still learning more about yourself?
100%. 100%. And I did a quick I think a story or something on my Facebook, and I talked about this in my inner circle. I have been embodying my design for 5.5 years, coming to 6 years, like literally in January, 6 years of this work. And sometimes when I go back and read something about my human design, it lands differently
Yeah.
because I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago, but I am still the same person. Like it's funny how it feels, but sometimes you read something or you go through something and you're like, okay, now that I have come, that far, there's a different piece that I could add here in my embodiment journey, right? And for me recently, it was, and I said on my story, I've read this line for 5 years, but like it lands differently today. And it was about me being so resourceful that I am designed to increase the resources for others. I did not understand that 5 years ago.
Okay.
I do understand it now. I do understand it now because I have been in coaching containers that, maybe I got them for a great deal and they're like tens of thousands of dollars now. And I'm like, how? Like, why me? Right. But then I understood because I'm being exposed to things as a line six and as part of me being resourceful. That's part of my design. And now I know, and I'm paying more attention to these things of I can actually take this resource and increase it for others. You know what I mean? And that landed this year, 5.5 years ago, even though I've been reading this for 5 years, right? So there are different parts of your design. The more you become your authentic self, the more you start really seeing the word differently, right? Seeing people differently, valuing them in a different way. And then you start really, it just keeps evolving and it's just so beautiful, so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Do you see human design being something that a lot of people now introduce into their offers? Because I know from my own journey myself over the last couple of years and having worked with coaches, mentors over the years, that there's obviously so much strategy is so important in terms of scaling your business. Like it is, you do need strategy, you need that masculine energy, you need the systems and all of that kind of thing. But actually, the embodiment piece, the understanding who you are, the soul alignment and everything is essential to be able to scale with both sides, both the feminine and the masculine energy. Do you see more and more people kind of introducing this work into their coaching practices going forward, and even businesses? Because I know a lot of businesses are actually like getting external experts in this kind of work to support with their employees because it creates better workers for their business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of people that believe in this work and they're integrating it one way or the other. And then there are other businesses that are fine just doing what they are doing with the masculine side. And I believe it's because it's working for them,
Yeah.
right? It didn't work for me because it wasn't aligned
Yeah.
energetically. Like I remember my first coach, see what she was like, you go into the Facebook group, you take a screenshot of an issue somebody is talking about, you send them a DM and you say, I can help them. And I'm like, no. And honestly, like I tried, like I would go, I would find it, I would screenshot it, and then I would freeze. My sacral was like, we're not doing that. We're
Yeah.
not doing that, right? But other people, they're fine doing it and it works for them, and that's
Yeah.
fine, right? Like I find all these strategies, all these books about marketing and tools and strategies and funnels, they all work. They all work. That's why they exist. But which one are you going to pick that feels good for you to say, I love doing that. This is the way
Yeah.
I want to show up. And then it works, right? Versus me trying to cold DM somebody with a screenshot. I don't think that would have worked for me.
Yeah.
And it gave me tummy aches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yes, there are a lot of people who believe in this work. And I do believe that, as the most aligned leader you could be, you actually expand your energy to hold more, and then you're able to hold more clients, more money, more, like, yes, you can definitely scale when the energetic foundation is there, right? Or some people start with me from scratch. Like, I want to build this in the right way for me. And we
Yeah.
start from zero, right? And some people come to me when they have made six figures and now they want to scale even further. So yeah, long story, but short story, yes, definitely more energetics. But again, for people who's not feeling it because whatever they're doing has been actually aligned with them and maybe they don't know it, they're fine and they're successful too. And that's okay. We can coexist.
Love that. I love that. Oh, it's been so lovely having you on, and I love diving more into the different lines and understanding on a deeper level, like what they all mean and what kind of things that we excel at with all of our different lines. What could somebody do if they've literally just come across this today, and maybe this is their very first impression of human design? What would be that next step after they've got their free chart?
So book a reading with me. So again, there are so many resources online that they could search themselves, right? Like, what is a manifesting generator? What is a line six? You can definitely read about that. But if you want to really embody it, then hire somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I'm getting like I'm gonna say something here because it's very important. Okay. There is no bad thing in your design. There is no you have this or you don't have this. There is no these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. There's nothing like that in human design. There are gifts, which is what you're born with, and then there are superpowers when you understand how to use them, right? And that's why I love the embodiment work. And a lot of people would come to me hiring me and they feel trapped. Like I'm a projector, so I cannot do that. Or I'm a line one, so I shouldn't be doing that. I tell them, forget your human design. Let's just have a conversation. And we bring up that passion in them. And then I'm like, okay, let's bring back human design and see how we can do that in alignment with you.
Yeah.
So human design is here to empower us and never to put us in a box that says, I cannot do this because that's my human design. I do not believe in that. And I believe when you are taking the pieces that resonates with you first and embody them, like I said, other things are going to fall into place
Yeah.
later on in the journey, right? So I would say if this is like your first exposure to human design, having a human design reading, I do have something I call them human design alignment sessions. So it's not just the reading of this is what it means. It's more of a conversation and let's bring you there, right? So an alignment session or a reading session would be a good start. And then the embodiment journey starts. It kicks in from there. Just be patient with yourself. Human design is not a switch on and a switch off. Like I have been like this for 40 years and now I get to live like that. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen, right? So be patient with yourself, a lot of self-love and self-compassion, and just enjoy the ride, right? So it's not the end of the world if we're misaligned, but it's great awareness to know that I've got work to do here and let me do it.
I love that. And you can do this at any age, can't you? This is literally our human design is what we're born with. So whether you're like in your
Absolutely.
teens, a child, an
Absolutely.
adult, in your 50s, retired, whatever.
Absolutely. Now that you've known about human design, go dive into it, right? Like I came across human design. I was what, 37, 30 something? Like I'm 42 right now. Um, so it's a little bit later in the journey. And I was like, oh, I wish I knew that when I was in my
Yeah.
first 30 years of Align Six. I wish somebody told me that, or I wish somebody told me I'm an emotional authority and not a sacral. And that's why
Yeah.
I have been doing these mistakes. So definitely you can do this work, a little bit when you're 30, 40, 50, like 60, like whatever, right? But knowing it, how are you going to impact others with it as well? So now that I know it, I know how to deal with my children. So I'm trying to put into them the human design embodiment as much as I can based on their age. Um, Parenting by design is a big thing that, we could definitely do for our kids so they can grow up knowing themselves
Yeah.
in a
And making the right
world that is
decisions for them
trying
as
to take
well.
them all the different directions. They can really stay grounded,
Yeah.
and come back to their truth.
I love that. How amazing would it be if at the age of like 16, when we have to start making decisions as an adult that you're just not
Yeah.
ready for, if you knew what your human design was and what is actually aligned to you, what feels good and what your superpowers are, that would just
Yes,
like put you free.
100%. And I have two of my clients who had teenagers. They booked a session with me so I can tell them, okay, this is
Oh,
the way you're
wow.
designed to make decisions. If your friends do this, this is your own way. And it was just so beautiful to expose them to something like that. Now it might be a little bit, you know, maybe they don't understand the whole concept, like my daughter, she's 14. I've already done her reading when she was 11, so, but I always talk to her about her emotional authority versus my son is a sacral authority. So the way I'm asking for information from them to make a decision is different. But yes, absolutely, if we're able to do that, at least teaching them how to make the right decisions for them, at least that, that
Yeah.
would be something that's a gift that we give our kids.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a really good episode. I hope if you listen to this, you've got some really good takeaways. Please make sure you go and follow Rania online. You're on pretty much all the platforms, aren't you? Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, both of them.
Perfect. I will pop the links in the show notes below. Please do make sure you go and do that. I'm also going to pop a link in as well for going and getting your free chart reading if you haven't already done so. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show, Rania.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Bye.